Hello, everyone. That was, I thought, a very good, candid session. People were listening, asking the right types of questions, and really seized with what I think are going to be some very important issues over the next year or so. Yes, we have an election, but we also have a lot of global dynamics in investment from other regions. Of course, we're conflict in many around the world, and there are a lot of interests that overlap between Canada and the U.S., and there are a lot of things that Canada is important for Canada to exert itself. And, you know, my reflection there was, it was more candid than I thought it would be, and I thought that a lot of the questions, people were listening, which is important in a time like this.
So what kind of questions were they talking about? What kind of questions were they?
Good question. Hey, you started it right off. I said, well, the kind of questions were looking at how that Canada-U.S. relationship interplays with labor groups, with access to skilled labor. What about investment? You know, we're competing with the Americans, but in many places we're partnering with the Americans to compete against other spheres, like the Chinese sphere. And so really trying to get an understanding of what's happening on the ground, what moves the dial, and then what is the response in the U.S. When we do something successful, especially when we're in competition with them, and or how can we help them in a moment of, I think, tremendous competition with the Chinese sphere especially, but the rest of the world.
What do you see as your role? Trump? What do you see in this, you know, what's your role?
Look, I went to, if we go back to the NAFTA negotiations, we went to every single round. We employed a system of the room next door. It is be ready to provide substantive, quantitative information of Canadian investments on the ground, American interests here. Obviously, that's on offer. It's on offer on a regular basis. Before the NAFTA negotiations, I think we all kind of took for granted, well, I should say, the industry took for granted that you'd make an agreement and then you'd revisit it when it came up. I think our role is to be ready at all times, to be a source of information, but also to be able to carry some of the Canadian messages abroad.
Were you asked about Donald Trump and your fears? Did you guys talk about Donald Trump?
Well, nobody talks about Donald Trump, especially you guys. Certainly it's contextual, but it's always been contextual. And I think that Donald Trump is trying to become a candidate again, of course. So there's a process there. He does affect the debate in the U.S. on the trade front. You know, I think everybody knows that he goes to the protectionist well very often. Where does Canada play in that? When we talk about American interests, it's important that whether it's Trump or Biden, you know, we always are ready to turn around and show everybody that the American interest is, in large part, the Canadian interest. And so Trump will dominate the next year, but he's also dominated the last 6, I think.
Donald Trump's pledge to impose 10% tariff if he's reelected.
I mean, I said it when he threatened 232 tariffs on parts and cars that come from Canada. I'm not sure he understands who pays the tariff. And I think he's playing to a base, but that base will have to pay that tariff. And so my comments are still the same. I say it with a smile on my face, but it is effective when I say these things in Washington or in Lansing or any other of the important capitals in the U.S.
Trump the first time around was difficult, that the sequel could be even worse.
I don't think I have any worries that are any different than everybody else's, which is I think he tested the famous American checks and balances, and a lot of them failed. And so I think right now the Biden administration is more concerned about Trump than the rest of us are because, of course, some of his messages resonate. They pull the electorate, and they spend a lot of time doing the defense on institutions instead of defending the American market against foreign competition. So we'll see a lot more of that. Certainly a second Trump presidency. None of us should be surprised at what that might be or how he might behave himself, and we'll keep talking about it.
You were part of the Team Canada that, you know, successfully negotiated NAFTA. How confident that Canada can be successful again with this Team Canada approach coming in the next few months?
Well, I think we learned that it was important to keep our information and our contacts very current. Specifically in the auto sector, we know exactly where the 126 auto parts plants that are owned by Canadians are across the U.S., and we know the local congressional representative, and we've been speaking to the senator. We spent a lot of time in all the places in between. I think we're better prepared this time than we were before because we've shirked ourselves of the idea that you can check in when there's trouble. You should always be in contact, and that's, I think, what we do.
Is there anything that you're looking for when USMCA comes up for the review, the joint review in 2 years? Is there anything specifically that you've started working on already around that?
Well, there's no telling that the review, so the way it's set up, it's not, look, it ends and we've got to go back to the drawing board. I think for our industry especially, it's working very well. I'm expecting the Americans, of course, to look at what are the implications of electrification on the rules. Where do they get critical minerals? They wanted to protect steel last time, so steel ended up in the USMCA. Are they going to want to do that on the critical minerals that are important for electrification? If they do, that might be good for us because, as you may have heard, we've got most of them.
What are the risks, though, even under Biden presidency, where he has his own Buy America and protectionist policies as well?
Well, as you know, I spent a lot of time going back and forth to Washington fighting with the Biden administration as well. This is an active, a current case that we all have to be cognizant of every day. The Biden administration is the one who came up with Build Back Better that excluded Canadian cars. Then we got a carve-in, and they came back with the IRA that said, hey, by the way, great, you're in, but there's billions of dollars for battery plants here. So we're going to be just as active, and we're going to continue to be just as active on Biden than we would be if it was a Trump, or, for that matter, a Nikki Haley government. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks.